Doesn't mean elevator music, that never helps.
Okay, we'll call the Planning Commission meeting to order. And have you had a chance to look over the minutes and the agenda for the Planning Commission? Are there changes to the Planning Commission minutes?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion made, second.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go to the new business. Jedidiah Smith, request for conditional use permit. And I'll turn this over to Neva.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a request for a conditional use permit for a 5,400 square foot accessory structure / garage at 1502 Gunflint Trail, Zone Forest Agriculture Residential District, FAR 3. And this size accessory structure is a listed conditional use in that zone district. The property is 5.59 acres and zoned non-shoreland. The applicants propose to build a 90 by 60 accessory building for storage of their equipment. The applicants live at the adjacent property. On the bottom of page 1 of the staff narrative, you'll see a photo of the area with the subject property outlined as blue. For zoning considerations, as I already mentioned, this property is zoned non-shoreland FAR 3, which the principal purpose of this zone district is to provide for permanent and seasonal areas at a medium density. Farming and other rural activities are also allowed. Accessory structures less than 3,000 square feet are permitted in this zone district with a land use permit, and accessory structures over 3,000 square feet require a conditional use permit. I did cite the Cook County Land Use Guide Plan. I didn't find anything in particular useful in the guide plan to cite for this. For site conditions and considerations, the proposed use should have no negative impact on the septic, wetlands, impervious surface coverage, nor neighboring properties. The property already did get a land use permit for the grading and filling activities that you see in the picture on page 2. Adjacent land uses, north of the subject property is U.S. Forest Service Superior National Forest public land. West of the property is homestead residential owned land by the applicant. South of the property is private residential land, and east of the subject property is Headstrom Lumber Company, which is zoned light industrial. I did include the Cook County zoning ordinance, section 10.05, which lists out the general criteria and requirements for reviewing conditional use permits. The public noticing was done for this application. It was noticed in the Cook County News Herald on June 16th. Our office sent out 21 letters of notification to adjacent property owners as well as county departments. We received 1 letter of correspondence from Howard Headstrom, who was in favor of the request, and his letter is included in the packet. And my staff recommendations for consideration is that the proposed structure appears non-problematic with the surrounding land use patterns and zoning.
Thank you. Is someone here to represent Mr. Smith? Okay. Do you want to step over to the microphone? Sure. State your name and address. And is there anything you wish to add to the commentary from Ms. Maxwell?
My name is Jedidiah Smith, address 1502 Gunflint Trail, and I think Neva said everything really good, so I bought this property 2 years ago with the idea of putting a garage on it, and it's attached to mine, but it's not the same. It's got a separate parcel ID, so just have to go through this permitting process, so.
Okay. Is there anyone else from the public that wishes to speak about this case? Okay, we'll close the comment to the public, and we'll go to the board. Do you have questions, comments?
At Headstrom and our properties adjoin each other. There are no opposition to whatever he's going to do.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Anyone from the board wish to make a comment? Have questions?
No questions. I've been over there. I think it's a good thing. I don't think there's any problems.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been by too. It looks like a fit with the area.
Okay.
Same thing I saw when I went.
Yeah, likewise. I did have one question. It shows a driveway that butts on next to Hedstrom. It looked like that's already an existing driveway connection to the county road? Okay.
Yep. And I did the permit, it has that, because I have an easement, actually, it's not even an easement anymore, through Zickrick's property, and then we put a new driveway out, we permitted that through the
Okay.
county.
It looked like that had been in.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
I guess the only question I have is, I assume it's not for a commercial business.
Nope, it's for myself, and I do own an excavating company, but I have my pontoons and my, just all my stuff, so.
Okay.
Nothing, not like people come in there and buying stuff, or, it's
Okay,
just for storing stuff.
all right. Any other questions from the board?
Motion to approve?
I'll second it.
Is there okay, second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Jed, so I'll bring that to the county board at their next
See
meeting.
you later. Nice talking to you.
Okay, that was-
You got here,
that was
Mike.
That was 8 minutes.
Good job.
We're all short of this meeting.
Don't bring me in this. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
All right,
some-
take
some
care,
meat on
Mike.
the bone next month.
Okay, we're going to call the Board of Adjustment meeting to order. Are there any changes, corrections, additions to the minutes for the June 14th meeting?
I read them and I didn't have any.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the minutes and the agenda for minutes of the 14th meeting and the agenda for today?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes as drafted and the agenda as proposed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
All right?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll go on to new business. William and Sally Hennessy, variance request. And the property ID is 51-401-4101, 122 Fireplace Lane. Case number 2023-14V. Neva, would you care to go?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a variance request for relief from the zoning ordinance to place a 6x10 addition onto the principal structure at a reduced ordinary high water level or shoreline setback from Poplar Lake, which is classified as recreation development, where a minimum of 100 feet is required for structure placement. The applicant's property includes 1.7 acres with approximately 156 feet of Poplar Lake shoreline. The parcel is zoned lakeshore residential within the first 300 feet of the shoreline, and then forest agriculture residential FAR3 for the remainder. Newly created lots within this zone district must be 1 acre and 150 feet wide at the structure setback. Poplar Lake, like I already mentioned, is classified as recreational development. The applicants, Bill and Sally Hennessy, are requesting relief from the shoreline setbacks to place the addition onto their cabin at 122 Fireplace Road. The 60 square foot addition would increase living space to the first floor guest bedroom, setback approximately 82 feet from the shoreline on the back side of the cabin. The current owners applied for and received a variance to place the cabin 60 feet from the shoreline in 1988. Considerations of the 1988 application included the zoning of the property, required that the cabin be 60 feet back from Poplar Lake, kind of recognized that other cabins in that area were ranging 30 to 60 feet from the shoreline setback, and then had used a shoreline averaging to recognize that 60-foot setback. I included a map of the property on page 4 of the staff narrative, which the property is outlined blue, and you can kind of see the A-frame sort of ceiling of the cabin in that photo with their garage further back north of that structure. For site conditions and considerations, the 60 square foot addition to the existing guest bedroom should have no impact to the septic system. County records indicate that the last certificate of compliance was issued in 1994 and is outdated. Therefore, the landowner will need to submit a septic inspection request form with a land use permit. That's just per our standard rules. For impervious surface coverage, there's no issues with impervious surface coverage nor wetlands. For slope, it's worth noting that the shoreline has a bluff feature on the front of the cabin, and behind the cabin is a rock outcropping, which is inhibiting the buildable space behind the cabin for the addition. There's some site photos on page 7 and 8 of the staff narrative illustrating that. For public noticing, the application was legally noticed in the Cook County News Herald on June 16th. Our office mailed out 29 letters of notification to adjacent property owners, as well as county departments, DNR hydrologist, and the Cook County Coalition of Lake Associations. Our office received one comment letter, which was in support from Emily Falk, 84 Fireplace Road, in support of the request. In addition, Cook County Soil and Water Conservation District provided a technical memo regarding Poplar Lake and considerations for the property owners to keep in mind, as well as the Board of Adjustment to take into account. And the Environmental Health Specialist, Mitch Everson, provided a memo regarding the need for the updated certificate of compliance for the septic system, which I already mentioned. For staff recommendations for consideration, this is a relatively modest increase in dimensions placed as far from the lake as possible to the existing cabins. Approval of this request should not result in any issues. However, the property should maintain its existing vegetative buffer to Poplar Lake for the reasons indicated in the Soil and Water Conservation District memo. If approved, the following conditions may be attached to this variance request. Number 1, the property shall conform to Minnesota Rule 7080 and Cook County septic requirements. And number 2, no vegetation shall be removed from the shore or bluff impact zones.
Thank you. Mr. Hennessy or Mrs. Hennessy, would you care to speak?
Yeah, I'm William Hennessy and my wife Sally, and we live at 122 Fireplace Road on Poplar Lake, in the summertime anyway. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. Does anyone else from the public wish to speak on this topic? Hearing none, we'll close the public comment and take it to the board. Any questions, concerns?
I went out to take a look, and it seems, as Neva mentioned, very modest increase in square footage. It seems reasonable. There is a big rock to the back, and it doesn't appear as though it can be seen from the lake. I have no questions or issues with it.
Paul, anything?
I also performed a site visit, and yeah, find it a very small addition, especially looking at this picture with the deck. I think it won't increase the view from the lake at all. Really.
I also did a site visit and have the same point of view.
Yep. Charlie?
Looks good to me.
Anyone care to make a motion?
Motion to approve with the 2 proposed conditions as written.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any further comment? All in favor of
Aye.
approving?
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign? Motion approved.
Thank you. And people that showed up and looked around were all very nice and polite.
I'll send you guys some following up correspondence after this. Thank you.
Okay, the next case will be Songbird Properties, LLC. Thank you. And it is the case number 2023-15V, Songbird Properties, LLC, parcel number 20-131-3365 at 7902 West Highway 61. Neva?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a variance request for relief from the Cook County sign ordinance and the Cook County zoning ordinance to place an 8x4 sign on the existing sign pole at a reduced side yard setback of 1 foot for where a minimum of 10 feet is required, located at 7902 West Highway 61. The property includes 0.4 acres and is contained entirely within the Schroeder mixed-use district. Newly created lots within the zone district must be 2 or 1 acres in size for residential uses and all other uses respectively. And then this property is within the North Shore Management Zone of Lake Superior, so zone shoreland. The applicant, Songbird Properties LLC, is requesting relief from the side yard setback requirements to place the sign on the existing pole for their business, Electric Trails, at the business's property at 7902 West Highway 61. The property owners do not know the specific location of the property line, but estimate the sign would encroach somewhere between 1 to 9 feet on the 10-foot side yard setback requirement. I included the ordinance language for the sign ordinance and the zoning ordinance. For the sign ordinance, it says that the side and rear yard, all signs shall meet the structure setbacks for the zone district for the sign located, with exception to the resort commercial zone district. And then I cited the lot setback of 10 feet for the zone district. For background, the applicants propose to utilize the existing pole that has been in place for several years from prior businesses and property owners. This parcel has a variance on file from 1984 when it was a Shell oil gas station to allow road setback relief from the canopy over the gas pumps. Fun fact, that was because they were going from the people that fill your gas for you to self-service. It was kind of a fun thing to read in that variance file. There does not appear to be details regarding the pole or signage in the 1984 variance application. For site conditions and considerations, there are no issues with slope, wetlands, nor septic components with this request. The application was legally noticed in the Cook County News Herald on June 16th. 33 letters of notification were sent out to adjacent property owners as well as county departments, MnDOT, and the DNR hydrologist. No comments were received in land services at the time of the narrative preparation, nor just received at all. Staff recommendation for consideration. A difficulty in reviewing this request is not knowing the extent of the variance relief being requested. Likely the pole was placed within the property boundaries by prior property owners. This uncertainty could be addressed by a surveyor to mark the property boundaries. So that is essentially to say that typically when we issue a variance relief, you guys, as the Board of Adjustment, understand how much relief is being granted. In this case, I can't tell you how much relief that is because we don't know where that property boundary is. You would need a surveyor to go out to make that determination. If approved, the following conditions may be attached to this variance request. The sign shall not be internally lit. Any lighting shall be downcast and directed to the sign.
Thank you. Do you wish to speak for Songbird?
I'm Tim Satry, representing the building at 7902 West Highway 61 in Schroeder. So I'm the general manager at Electric Trails, and my business partner is Songbird Properties. His name's Jacob Seltz. And basically, we would just like to utilize this old sign pole to, showcase our business. And it's been sitting there for several decades unused, and we'd like to freshen it up and kind of bring back some life to the building. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. And since no one else is here, I will close it to the public comment. Anyone from the board have questions or comments?
Do we know when that was originally built?
I couldn't find any records for that pole going up.
Yeah, but I meant when just looking around, it would appear to me that it has probably been there since they put the gas station in. Just age and condition and so forth.
I came in '72 and it was there then. There were actually 2 or 3 gas stations.
I wanted to call Jerry and ask him, Jerry Gervais.
You might know.
Yeah, he probably would.
But there were 2 or 3 gas stations in Schroeder at that point.
But the sign wasn't there in '72?
It probably was. I actually sold it in '84. So I'm pretty familiar with it.
Yeah.
But I looked yesterday. Are you going to trim the trees? Is that part of the plan?
Yeah, we can hire someone to trim the trees, because the pole is closed.
Because otherwise you're not going to see much.
Yeah, if you're coming up the highway towards this direction, you'll see the sign, but from the other direction, we would probably just maintain the integrity of the trees. And
is the sign lit?
It'll have a downcast light that we can put on a timer.
And do you know how high it'll go?
I measure, I'm guessing that thing's over 20 feet tall.
And
So-
the new sign is, that
It-
you're attaching is how big?
Be 4x8, so it would start at the top and come down.
Right, yeah. Any other comments, questions?
So you wouldn't be affixing it to the top of the pole?
No, it'd probably run along the pole.
Yeah,
So it wouldn't
maybe-
stick up higher than the pole is.
Maybe-
We would probably start the sign at the top of the pole and go down.
Attach it to the pole?
Correct,
Not
yep.
stick it on top?
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Any other comments?
To me, it seems like a minor request, not requiring a survey, in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah, I guess I would agree with that, given that it's a existing pole that sounds like it's been there a long time, and it is just a sign, it's not a structure.
And there's no comment from neighbors objecting, so I would predict somebody knows where the post is around there, and you may have claim to it with adverse possession because it's been there forever. So, but I think it's just minor. So, looking at our questions, do you see any problems with answering the questions correctly? The variance questionnaire? Practical difficulties?
I think using the existing pole really kind of makes that,
A
all that
reasonable
questionnaire
and sensible
pretty
thing to do. Okay,
I would motion to approve with the one condition as written.
okay.
And I'll second.
Motion made, seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm not sure what this is on the bottom of the agenda.
That was nothing.
So we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Done deal.
Thanks. I'll send you guys some follow-up correspondence.
Great.
Thank you.
Say 20 minutes.
Thank you very much.
Good night.